Hello guys, and welcome to a new video. If you don't know me, I'm Artsy, and I am drawing daily for an undetermined period of time. And today is day 79 of that. And I was so excited for today's drawing. I've just been thinking about drawing something with purple for a few days, and I was like, I just need to draw grapes. I didn't want to make it too big and everything, so it's just a small note card format kind of drawing. But we're going back to my favorite medium right now for me, and that is alcohol markers. My process when working with alcohol markers specifically is first sketch out the drawing with graphite pencil, and then go on to the color pencil. Try to coordinate the colors that you will put in the drawing to the line work, but you can also do one line work color in your pencil for the whole piece. But yeah, as there were two main color groups in this drawing, it was only purple for the grapes and green for the stems. I just used a purple pencil for the grapes and a green pencil for the stem. I usually opt for something that's a bit maybe on the darker side of the original colors. So let's say your color is yellow for the main part. I would try to pick maybe something more orangey for the line work. And yeah, after that, I'm just gonna go in with the markers, and that's basically it. Sometimes I maybe add some highlights with some honestly just some white acrylic paint. You could also use how they're called again? The gel pens. They work great as well for highlights on marker pieces. But I don't have a good one right now, so I'm really still on the lookout for years for a good white gel ball pen. But I haven't found one yet. And what I usually do is I just pick out the markers I think I'm gonna need for the piece. I have sorted all my alcohol markers by number. I think I have around 200 alcohol markers. It's a bit much, but the thing with alcohol markers is if you want to make good pieces that stand true to their real colors, you do really need I would say at least maybe 40, maybe 50. The thing is, if you have a smaller range of colors when working with alcohol markers, you probably end up with some bright colors, maybe a bright red, a bright blue, some greens, some yellows, and you maybe have one dark brown and one lightish pink or something. But it really depends on what kind of drawings you want to make. For me, I work with bright colors a lot, but I do draw more on the realistic side. But I enhance the saturation and vibrancy in my works, so I really like to use lots of different colors, include lots of pink everywhere. But let's say you don't really draw realistic pieces, you could also just use one palette of colors and use that for all your drawings. If your vibes in your drawings are usually a bit autumny, fall kind of, and include only small characters, and you use a flat coloring system, so you don't really do shading, you just color in your line work and that's it, then I think you could really get away with maybe a smaller palette of drawings. But because I have such a broad spectrum of things that I draw, and they're mostly objects or food or just a scenery or people, it's so different for every drawing I make that I need a lot of different colors. I think in the end for this small piece, which I said only used like 2 color groups, I used 20 markers or something. So that's a lot for something that just has like only purple and green in it. But if you were to have a more like 2D kind of style, you could really get away with doing it with like 5 or 6 maybe. I think that really could work out. As you can see here, I started off with the lighter shade first to kind of map out where the highlights are. I don't want my highlights to be wide because, like I said, if I want something to be white like a highlight in the end, I just do it with my white acrylic paint. And because the background of most of my drawings is already white, I want the objects to stand out and not make it seem like there are holes in it. And when you make the highlights, also color in your palette, it just brings everything together a bit more. So I just chose the lighter shade of purple that I had and make those the highlights. And then I just started with mapping out the shadows and kind of mapping out the different hues. So in the shadows, I wanted more of a like darkish blue hue to come forward. So I put like an underlayer of a blue, and then I just went in with a bit of a darker purple to map out where I want the different spots of the grapes to be, where I want more of the shadows to be. And that just goes on for a really long time, honestly. And what I usually like to do is make sure I'm watching really close to the shapes I want to make. So I don't really think in lines. I think more in like the shapes I want to fill in. And I think that is one of the key things of working with alcohol markers. So just mapping out shapes, lots of shapes. And my favorite thing to do is afterwards, when you have maybe more like soft subjects like these grapes, is go over with a lighter color and like blend it all together, and that gives a really cool effect. Because a little tip for you, if you're not really used to working with markers and like kind of scared of, oh, there are such dark colors, and if I put a dark color down, like it's like there and I can't get it away. Like maybe with pencil you could erase it, or with paint you could maybe wipe it or paint over it. But the thing with alcohol markers, they're like see-through. So if you put down a dark blue, there's like no way if you put a yellow on top, you're only gonna see yellow. With acrylic paint, that's of course much different. But a cool thing is about markers is that they lift each other up a bit. So let's say I put down these dark blues and these dark purples here, and I went over with the marker I'm holding right now lots of time. The marker underneath will start to lift a bit, like the deep color will start to lift a bit. It's not the best for your paper, so I would really recommend, if you start working with alcohol markers, get the right paper. The brand of markers honestly doesn't really matter. I have these Deco Time markers. They're really cheap. I think they price each marker, I think, is only like, if you count it out, like 50 cents per marker. So that's a really good price, and I've been using them for years now and they still work perfectly. You just need to make sure you store them horizontally, so lying down. But the markers don't really matter, so you don't need to get like Copic markers. I heard Ohuhu markers are also a good like dupe for the Copic markers, but I've never used them, so I wouldn't really know, and they are a bit more expensive than even the ones I'm using here. But the paper is really what's gonna make the difference. if you're gonna be drawing just on printer paper, trust me, your drawings will not look the best, especially if you start like blending over so many different colors. And the thing is also, when you're coloring in a big shape with the same color on like printer paper, first off, the paper will just start like breaking up, and also you will start to see the streaks way more easily. So for a smooth finish, try to opt for something that is a bit on the thicker side. Something that's also a bright white. You don't want to be like drawing on creamy colored paper. I mean, it all depends on what you want to achieve. If you draw more like on 2D, and if it's more like, I don't know, a vintage feel to it, then maybe cream color paper will work for you. But if you want to make like things that really pop, things that are really bright and vibrant, definitely go for some like just pure white. And I just used like official Copic paper for this, and it really works amazing. It's really nice to work with. But honestly, any paper that's a vibrant white, a pure white, with a smooth finish, so you don't want any grainy textures in your paper. So no watercolor paper, even though it might be thick, don't use that. Opt for smooth paper, that's a bit on the thicker side, and when you have that, you will be good. So you don't have to spend all your money on like Copic paper or these other expensive ones. You can find one at any store that sells maybe stationery or art supplies, and just ask for something that's a bit on the thicker side and has a smooth finish. And as you can see here, like I'm using so many like different markers, but also rotating to the same ones that I used in the beginning a lot. So there are maybe like 3 to 4 like main tones I want to let come forward in my drawings, and then I use the other ones like a little blending in between those shades. Otherwise the transitions between the shades might be a bit harsh, so that's why I use a lot of different ones. And the thing is, what I love to do in my drawings, when an object is more on maybe the warmer side or on the cooler side, it doesn't really matter. I just like to put like pink tones in it. I don't know what it is, but when I put pink in a certain object, it just makes the color pop so much more. And I think we'll see that a bit later in the video also, when I'm gonna start incorporating pink. And I just feel when I add that color, it just makes everything start to glow. It starts to make it feel alive. So it doesn't really matter if I'm drawing an object like this fruit, or maybe a more different object. Maybe I would be drawing a notebook. I would try to incorporate a bit of pink in the shadows, or the transition between the shadow and where an area is lit. And I also love to use it on people. So a lot of times in their cheeks, or around the eyes and in the ears, around the nose. And as I said previously, when there are shadows, adding a bit of pink to them really works to give it some life. What I love about this drawing is maybe not even the end result, even though it's really cute and I'm really proud of it. It's also like the excitement it brought me when I was starting to draw it. I don't know, just the past days, I've just gained this excitement for drawing again, and I'm trying to like keep it by making things that I would normally not do. Like normally I would just do my ballpoint pen sketches, but now I really like to use some more color because that's one of my favorite things to do, but I just don't do it that often. And you can see here, I accidentally opened up the marker wrong, and I exposed the filled inside. Yeah, whoops. But I try to challenge myself to put a bit more effort in my drawings while working with color, which is the most exciting thing to me, but also try to keep it small and keep the object simple so I don't get like burnt out by it. What's really easy about a drawing like this is, first of all, it's small, which means you don't have to cover large areas of paper, which means it's easier to blend things, you're done quicker. And then what comes with that is that these shapes are really easy. There are almost no details in it. You could say like, oh, the spots are details and like the little shadows, but that just contributes to the overall shape. What I mean is there are in total like 7 big shapes here, and that is each of the grapes and the stem. And what I mean by that is there are only like 7 things you really need to focus on. When you make maybe more of a, let's say you draw a view of a street, there will be so many different details in the perspective, in little hanging signs that maybe stand somewhere in the street, or a door or a window or some other things, some plants, everything. All those are like little shapes that add up to the big piece. And as you can see here, there are only 7 shapes. So that makes that I can finish this drawing in like almost 20 minutes and still have something beautiful, something with color, something I can look at and be proud of, even though it's not that complex. The same goes for a lot of different foods like tomatoes or an apple. That's why often in an art class you start by drawing an apple, because first off it's something you see in everyday life, so a lot of people recognize it. And also the shape is really easy, so there are no details at all. That's why maybe drawing a hamburger can be a bit more complex than drawing this, even though it's the same size and might also use 20 alcohol markers. Here I'm also like finishing up some edges with a purple pencil, the same pencil I did the line art with, to bring out the lines a bit more. I like my drawings to be realistic, but what I love more is when you can see that you drew them, that it's art, that it's not about recreating a photo, it's not about matching every shade, every color like to the dot. That's not what I'm here for. What I'm here for is trying to create something pleasing to my eyes with pretty colors and something that makes me happy to look at. So something that has pink in it. that's usually one of the requirements for me to find something pretty, if it has pink in it, a vibrant pink. And then finally, once I finish these grapes, I move on to the stem, which is really easy. I don't put too much effort into it, because I really want to focus to be on the grapes. In the end, while I look at this, I think I maybe could have added some more highlights in the piece. I think I went over a bit too much with all the shading, that a bit of the lighter parts got lost in the drawing. But overall, I really am happy with this piece. So maybe I'll round up the corners. What I like to do is I like to round up the corners of pieces, or like if I'm making a card or something, I just feel like it finishes it off and makes it feel so like as if you just bought it in a store, like a pretty card that you just bought in the store. So maybe I'll do that, but I don't know yet. In these days that I'm drawing every day, it's really hard to like keep it up, to keep up making something good every day. And honestly, that's not what it is about. That's not what drawing daily is about. And what I'm most satisfied with is that I'm making it a part of my life, that I'm making drawing a part of my life every day. And I'm really proud of that. It is summer vacation now for me, so I have a lot more time to draw, but I have so many different hobbies, so sometimes it's really hard trying to keep up with everything and choosing, okay, what am I gonna do now? Because I would like to draw every day, the whole day, but I also would love to crochet, to read, to game. There are so many different things that I love to do. So what I mostly try is the hobbies that I can multitask, to just multitask them. So I love to watch shows, and lately I've been rewatching a show I watched a few years ago, so I try to draw while watching that show, or when I'm crocheting I like to watch something too, and maybe read an audiobook, and that really helps to keep up with all my different hobbies. But well, if you're just reading a physical book, you can't really do anything at the same time. And I think it's also important to give all your focus to one activity. But it's hard to practice that when you have so many hobbies. But I think of all, drawing still is my favorite hobby. I think it's also my most important one. I love to create, love to show people what I make, and that has really changed. I used to never really want to show people what I've made because I was embarrassed and not proud of what I made, even though maybe I was better than my peers at that time. I still didn't like to show off because I was kind of insecure, and now the view has changed entirely. Like, I know I'm not better than my peers. A lot of my peers are better than me. Like, people my age just do the things better. But at this age, I'm also proud of myself for what I've achieved and how I've developed and how I've grown in my art. Okay guys, so this was the video for today. I hope you enjoyed watching me draw and talking with me and just chatting about art and everything. And I hope to see you back on another video until then. But for now, bye bye!